Let's give you an easy one to start with. Just give us a scouting report on what you've seen and so far from Eastern Washington. If you kind of take a look at both sides of the ball, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. The scouting report from a special team standpoint, these guys they do a fantastic job on special teams, which I think is a great way to gauge kind of a team's commitment to each other. Just the selflessness of their team is evident there. How tough they are. Their overall team speed is impressive. They play their best guys on special teams. Coverage units are comprised of their fastest, best athletes. The punt return team is basically their defense. A bunch of their starting defense plays on a bunch of units, and they're coached really well. Cup is a returner in addition to being a great wideout. In the specialist department, they have a couple transfers, so we don't have a great gauge on a lot of their, their information from that standpoint. Kind of typical of a first game when you're going up against whether it's a transfer or a new replacement starter. But we'll just kind of do our deal in that department. Defensively, sort of kind of similar to our defense in terms of a 3-down base. They get in and out of a 4-down structure. They're a little bit more 4-down than 3-down. And then they mix up a ton of coverage looks and pressure looks in third and longer situations, which hopefully you're trying to limit as much as possible. Again, a couple of corners that have played a lot, and then a couple guys that I think are working into competing for roles, and so we'll see how that shakes out. They have one returning linebacker, one returning safety. They're really good players. The defensive end. I'm not sure exactly how you say his name, but number 91 is a heck of a football player from Portland. We know about him. Does a great job both, again, on defense and on special teams. And then offensively, their quarterback is very productive. He played quite a bit last year, and we have a fair amount of film on him. Is a strong-armed pocket guy that can move around enough. He has a great feel for their system. You can tell he knows exactly where the ball is supposed to be. And then Cup is a heck of a receiver, and they're balancing that with another receiver and another tailback that are really good and really confident what they're doing.
Along those lines, how different is this team from other FCS opponents that you guys have faced that might have been a sure victory, whereas this team, they can bring it?
No, I think,
and they've beaten the Pac-12 team in the last
right. Hopefully there's nobody that's ever focused on that part of it, but if they are, then at least that perks them up and wakes them up to, there's evidence that's happened. But they're really good. I mean, they jump out on film of you watch them last year against whoever, Montana, or certainly against the Washington. They can run. Their special team skill, again, it jumps out. Their athleticism of how good they are, and so hopefully, if you have to give a big motivational speech for your first game, then we have big problems. Our guys are hopefully excited to play, excited to go out and perform against somebody else. We've had a good last couple of days of practice. We had a really spirited day today, very competitive day today, and so headed in the right direction that way. But yeah, if they need the wake up call, I would say equal parts that would worry me, and then also it's there, so they'll somebody will be awakened either way.
Back middle, Kristen.
Yeah, yesterday Frost said that as a coach, you have to be a little nervous anytime that you have a quarterback who hasn't played for your team before go out and lead your team. What are you most nervous about from Vernon? That he doesn't know the playbook still, that he hasn't created that chemistry with the team? What do you think is going to be his biggest challenge?
I think the thing, and I don't know, the words you chose, I don't really ever associate those with, you wait to see the guy's reaction. And it could be a reaction to 3 consecutive picks. It could be a reaction to 3 consecutive touchdown passes. What's next? What's our reaction? If I'm going to have, we're going to have some new players in the secondary. If they get beat deep, what's their reaction? If they miss a tackle, what's their reaction? So that's all part of the first game. Some guys go out and they throw the ball 205 miles an hour over a guy's head, and you're like, okay, their first throws out of the way and you get it out of the way. But all that stuff, getting hit, getting in the flow of the game is important. And then what's their reaction to it, I think, is the important thing.
It is it's extremely unusual for a guy to play somewhere where he started for 3 years and then go to another team, especially in the college level, and open up against his old team. Do you expect there to be some type of heightened emotion for him? Are you guys going to do anything like get him a massage to calm him down before the game or something?
Dave's going to give him a massage.
But are you at all anticipating some of that?
Well, again, that's something that I always try to get those guys feel in pregame warm-up. There's some quarterbacks that want to stay focused. Some guys you have to crack a joke and try to get them laughing. Some guy it just depends. But yeah, it is a rare and somewhat unfortunate set of circumstances of how this game is him versus them. It's not that, yeah, I think all that stuff you'll learn about. Kirk Merritt. You'll learn about some of these other guys that nobody's seen play before. Kenton Kamatule. How's he gonna be in pregame warm up? And some guys lose their mind. Some guys, it's just like a high school game. So we want them somewhere in between.
Mark, scouting an opponent is always a big deal in doing your homework. A lot's been discussed about whether Vernon has given you some of those hints or secrets maybe about Eastern Washington. Is too much being made of that? Is he helping?
Well, I think too much is being made of that. I think there's, their structure is not going to change. They have a new defensive coordinator who was there previously as a secondary coach, and they've done a great job for a long time, going back to when he was at Central Washington, and they're not going to drastically change. And what they've done on film is what they're going to do. By the same token, their personnel's a little bit different, just like our personnel's a little bit different. They went to some summit somewhere and talked about zone blitz or coverage. There's going to be changes from year to year, just like there's changes for us from year to year. So a lot of that is overstated, I think.
Eastern's receiving core compare to others you've seen in the past?
They're really good. A lot of those guys, again, play on special teams and run around. They're physical. The guys that aren't returners with the ball in their hand, they're involved in special teams, which I said I love it when wideouts do that. I love it when our wideouts do that. I don't know of a team. I heard Coach Neal talking the other day that they're similar to Washington State, and there's a couple guys that are taller and physical, and there's a few guys that are smaller, shiftier guys, and so I don't know. I'm horrible at that. Of this team's like that team, but how's that for an answer? First game jitters.
Back right, AJ. Coach, I'm sorry if I'm retreading something, but why did you decide to just outright name a starter leading into this first game rather than doing the two-headed Hydra or any of the other options that were available to you?
The two-headed Hydra? We talked about that. I don't know. There's no right answer for that. Whoever wins and has confidence and plays well, that's the right answer. I think there's some coaches that it's a secret. That's fine. I get that. I think it's hard to maintain secrecy for a long period of time and still just be truly confident in what you're doing. I think our guys. It happened, it happened in front of everybody, and it was time to go. And our guys have responded really well. Jeff Lockey's in the game plan meeting last night. They're talking through notes and talking through checks, and they're helping each other. They're out there after practice working on certain things together. That doesn't happen if it's not right. Doesn't mean you have to like it, doesn't mean you have to accept it, but as long as if it's not a good thing, that doesn't happen. And so I think it is totally independent of each team. I don't know the personality of any of these other, offenses, or certainly the principals involved in those decisions enough to comment on any other way other than ours.
Anyone else? Let's go right here, Aaron. And then Ryan after that.
How are you feeling about the relatively young secondary with two young guys starting and then Amadi being the number 3 corner maybe? I mean, are you feeling pretty good about that group after having veterans for a couple of years?
Right. It's an exciting group. And I said yesterday, talking to somebody else, talking to another group, it might be exciting for a pick six. It might be exciting for a double move for a touchdown. But there, there's a lot of young talent that those guys are excited to play. They're playing fast. They're playing physically. They're doing a lot of really good things. They just have to play, and they're going to make mistakes. But we don't focus on the mistakes. We focus on the solutions and the upside. But at playing that position, something bad's going to happen at some point. And again, how you respond to it is really what matters.
Mark, Charles obviously excelled on special teams from day one and experimented on defense, but how has he evolved as a wide receiver over the last year?
He's phenomenal. The guy is just so talented and so physical. It's still one of those things where Coach Neal is always either in my ear or in his ear of just because he's so good and he's so conscientious, and he would play every down of every game if he had his way and if the coaches had their way. He's a rare guy that's that physical. The skill set, not only with the ball as a return guy, as a receiver, as a ball carrier, but without the ball and blocking, it's rare. It is rare.
Right here front mid or middle.
Well, a lot has been made about how much Vernon knows about EWU. Certainly, EWU knows a lot about Vernon and his tendencies. So, is there any concern about that? And if so, how do you really counteract that?
You do your deal. I think they'll, if somebody's going to get in his ear and yell something about his ex-girlfriend or something, that might happen, or something that might occur, or a little extra twist here and there. But we just have to focus on us and what we're going to do, and play through any of that kind of stuff.
Back, Warren. Sorry, let's see.
That's okay. Mark, you talked about the young secondary. Pressure on West is certainly going to be important in this game because of their offense. Are you excited to see DeForest just cut it loose? You've obviously talked highly of him in this camp. You excited to see him cut it loose as well in game?
Really excited to see all those guys up front. Yeah, they've practiced their tail off. One of the last plays of our team period today, Tuitali was came off a pass rush and the ball got tipped and he dove seemed like 30 yards and didn't. It's a slight exaggeration. He didn't quite get there, and they're just working their tails off. And it's a deep group. It's a competitive group, and very excited to see those guys play.
Rick.
Just for a first game, do you have any sense going into this about what your game plan would be? As far as getting a number of players in, or is there a set number that you want to try and get in if you get a hold of the game? How do you plan ahead for that?
We don't. The only thing that we do in those kind of situations is prior to the year, if we were opening with whoever you think is our toughest opponent or whoever you think is not our toughest opponent, which is I think what you're getting at, it's our guys redshirting, or are they not? Are they eligible? Are they not? And those guys are available to play for the season, not just in this game. And so, all the rest of it, we're rolling just like we were playing the Philadelphia Eagles or whoever. That'd be a bad matchup.
I'm kidding. I was going to ask who would win that.